Alright guys, so I'm going away tomorrow on holiday for a few days. Perfect opportunity for me to discuss what's happening in the market, putting this out there by the end of the week. Really at the minute I don't know what's going to happen for this week, but it's very, very conflicting with really everything that's going on. And I want to discuss why it's so important at these times that really, if anything, you set out the market. I'm going to start with EU, and the fact is, what we've been seeing this year, we've been seeing a huge bull run. And what you need to understand as a trader is, and it's right me saying this if I capitalised on it, but I didn't, so I know that a lot of you guys didn't as well. When this happened, this is the easy time to get in moves on the higher time frames. Whether or not you're a medium time frame or lower time frame trader, it's going to be different for you. But I'm talking on the basis of understanding structure on the higher time frames to get that daily bias that's quite easy. It's a lot easier at that time. Once we come into this consolidation period, that's always going to happen at times in the market. And you've got to understand that for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of the year, we may not have clear direction on the higher time frame. So what does that mean for you as a trader? Well, there's options. Either you go onto the lower time frames, you find a bias on the lower time frames, but if that's not aligning with the way that you've backtested and your strategy, you've got to sit out and wait for the higher confirmations with the 4 hour weekly daily to get them. Coming into this week though, what was my analysis? Because I've took 3.25 hour losses in trying to sell within this area. We could still drop. My analysis was, with obviously that huge spike we had from the end of last week, we cleared previous weekly low. So we were all the way down here looking like we're going to get a bearish confirmation, and we flipped bullish. At that stage, at the end of the week, I was still bearish in my strategy driven bias, but in my head, I thought price would go up. This is a crucial moment as a trader that will separate you from being profitable and not being profitable. Just because I think price will go up does not mean I need to buy it. And what you've got to realise, and this is going to make or break your trading, is if you try and buy this because of a bias that you believe that isn't related to anything other than your own thoughts, and you take this trade, whether or not this wins or not, in the long run, you'll be down money. Because I could take this week and think, oh, this is the bottom week of the week, we're going to respect previous weekly low and go up. But the problem is the strategy doesn't dictate for me to take a trade here. So I can't take a trade. What does that mean for you as a trader? You've got to sit and wait if price runs up to the highs, and you've got to miss potentially the whole move up. And you sit there and go, well, what can I learn at the end of that period? Not whilst it's going on, because you don't have the bias. You can't always catch the move that you want to catch. I'm still bearish on the EU. So really what I would say based on last week's closure is if we swept this low and we've closed bullish, we should not be taking out previous weekly low now. If anything, to start this week, I would not have been expecting price to even run down. So going into the week, I thought price would just come and clear these highs, and we haven't. What does that say for everything that's going on in here? It means that if we start clearing previous weekly low, we're probably going to end up seeing downside. And this clear of this high was a liquidity sweep. We cleared the lows first, so we took out a lot of sellers and buyers, both at the highs and the lows, and then we could just drop. And that's taken out a lot of people there. So I'm still waiting on the sells, but the week is already halfway through, and I'm happy sitting out for the minute, because another thing I understand is, and this is what you've got to realise as well, we draw this box out, price since the 11th, 12th of August, which is now the third week, we have pretty much consolidated in this 100-ish pip range, 150 pip range. No candles closed outside of it. So no wonder why at the minute we're consolidating. So is this a good time to have a daily bias? No. So even if you're trading maybe on the 1 hour, you've got a lower probability of your trade playing out. But you've got to understand that. Doesn't mean you can't trade. You can still take trades. But especially for me now, with me taking so many losses, is I'm still not going to give up on the fact that we could go down. And I will take a trade if it sets up. But I've already learned from this trade down here. I was selling too low on a Friday without there being a pullback for any part of that week. But really, I might not have had the bias necessarily wrong. This could have been a new spike, and then it could just carry on. So don't worry about being wrong, because I have been wrong many times in this area. But take the next trade with confidence, but wait for it to set up properly. And if you do that, you'll do well. But you just, on a whim, taking a buy here because you think price might go up for the week, it's not a good idea. And in the long run, it will hurt you as a trader. So that's the main takeaway I want to say, is sometimes the markets don't set up. You don't have to trade it. It's easy for me to say this if I was doing well in the market, but I'm also saying this in the fact that I'm in an 8-9 hour trade losing streak over the last 2 months in this area. So I'm learning, and I'm going to share with you what I'm learning so you don't make the same mistakes. Or in the future, we can both not make the same mistakes. My bias on GU, obviously going into last week we saw the same thing, but what this bullish candle did is it never took out the previous weekly high or the current weekly high, so that still got respected. So really here we're consolidating again, but this weekly candle never broke, and I said this is my bias. I'm bearish until the weekly breaks this level. So for me, there's almost a barrier here for me to not buy until we see the closure above. And then I said if it does, I've got a 200 pip range to play to the high, but I'm still bearish. So again, I've got to sit and wait. And you know, what do I want to see here? Well, we've seen the price create a higher low, and if we're going to go up, we would have reacted at this and we would have come down. I'm going to start breaking up again, clearing these highs. If we don't see that and we see something like today breaking below here, then the sales to here to me look pretty good. And what it's going to mean is the previous weekly low has been filled and we've just filled down. We never actually broke this fair value gap. We took out the liquidity, and to that point it still has been an inducement. That's my understanding of price at the minute. Maybe traders are sitting there saying, well, what about this liquidity? We don't have to come for that right now. We could still sweep down, get a mega pullback and then drop. Or this will be left for maybe 6 months time, a year's time later. And that's the hardest thing to understand as a trader, is you don't know when liquidity will get swept. You don't know what is the trigger for price to move. So understand reading price in what it's doing. And that's really it for this one. So coming to the end of this quarter, well, the quarter's still got 1 month left, but comes into this month, it's been my worst trading month in prop firms, but I'm still sitting there in a very good position. There's a problem with most traders. You're thinking too short term. You're not thinking about when you've got 700k in challenges and 600k in funding, like I am. You might have 0 in funding and 100k in challenges, and you're happy to blow that account. But what about the position that I'm in? Well, I've already blew a challenge over this month. I've also picked up many more challenges to buy, and I'm in drawdown, deep drawdown on my funded accounts. I take the same trades across my trading accounts, which means that every trade does matter. It doesn't just mean, oh, I can just let this one go and it doesn't matter if I lose an extra trade. That's the exact reason why I'm not profitable. So I'm going to sit here this week, and I don't care whether it takes me a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months to get out of drawdown. I just have to trade the strategy until I go back into being profitable within that period. So yeah, Q3 has been bad, but once again, if I turn it around in September and I have a 10-hour month, I end the quarter in profit. It proves again that I've waited on the market conditions to become better again, and I survived the bad period, and when the good period comes, I'll capitalise on it. So make sure you're being careful where you're getting in trades, because especially on EU, it's very difficult to trade this, and there is no real daily bias. You could have more of a bias once we clear this area, and you're better off waiting for that. So that's the takeaway for this week. I'll be back next week with updates for the start of September. We'll go through another live week in the life. See you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace out.